Welcome back to Cleared for Takeoff. Today we're synthesizing everything we've covered so far into a unified market picture. And I want to push on the thesis a little because the question is worth asking is what makes this moment genuinely different from other times in the industry has faced supply constraints? The answer comes down to the durability of the demand side. Aviation infrastructure has experienced supply-demand imbalances before, but they've typically resolved when economic conditions weakened. In 2008 and 2009, when the financial crisis hit, business jet orders dropped dramatically, and the shortage of hangar space eased significantly because utilization fell. That correction doesn't look like it's coming this time for a very specific reason. The structural behavioral shift, the permanent expansion of the private aviation customer base. The cohort that entered private aviation during and after COVID did not enter it tentatively. Many of them bought fractional shares or charter memberships, discovered that their productivity improved materially, and then transitioned to whole aircraft ownership. Once you're a whole aircraft owner, your demand for infrastructure doesn't go away when the economy wobbles. You have a $70 million asset sitting on a ramp somewhere. It needs a hangar. It needs maintenance. That demand is sticky in a way that transient charter demand is not. And the OEM order books confirm this. Backlogs at Gulfstream, Bombardier, and Dassault have remained at historically elevated levels even through periods of economic uncertainty in 2023 and 2024. If this were purely cyclical demand, you'd have seen order cancellations. Instead, you saw backlogs holding. On the supply side, the constraints we've discussed in previous episodes are genuinely structural. The FAA entitlement process, NEPA reviews, airport authority lease negotiations, none of those get faster because demand increases. If anything, they get more competitive and more contentious as more developers chase limited airport real estate. The supply response is inherently slow. It cannot be accelerated by capital alone. Now I want to talk about the fleet composition shift because I think that's an underappreciated amplifier of the infrastructure shortage. When people model fleet growth at 1.5% annually, they're modeling net units, aircraft. But the aircraft entering the fleet are not the same as the ones being retired. The retirements are primarily small and mid-sized jets from the 80s and 90s. The new deliveries are increasingly large cabin and ultra-long range, so the fleet is growing not just in numbers, but in physical size and infrastructure requirements. And that's exactly why the obsolescence problem we covered in episode 8 is so important to the overall picture. The fleet replacement cycle is making the effective supply situation worse, even if the nominal hangar count stays flat. You're retiring aircraft that fit in 22-foot door hangars and replacing them with aircraft that required 28-foot door hangars. The existing inventory gets less useful with every passing year of this transition. So let's stack all of this up. Growing fleet, growing utilization, growing physical size requirements for infrastructure, stagnating supply with increasing obsolescence, and a regulatory environment that guarantees the supply response will be slow. What does that look like in 10 years? It looks like the investors who built or acquired Class A aviation infrastructure in DFW and Orlando between 2025 and 2028 made some of the best capital allocation decisions of the decade. Because the gap between supply and demand doesn't correct, it compounds. The investors who got in early hold positions that become progressively more valuable as the supply deficit deepens and the pricing power intensifies. That's the perfect storm thesis. Demand is structural, supply is constrained. The regulatory environment ensures a slow, competitive response, and the fleet composition shift is making the problem worse over time. Next episode, we're going back to Dallas-Fort Worth for a deeper dive. Specific airports, specific operators, specific numbers on what the supply gap looks like on the ground. See you there.